Here's another how to design data problem. In this case, it's going to be for an enumeration. So the data definition that we produce will be similar to the traffic light color example from earlier in the week. This is the problem in letterGradeStarter.racket. And again, I know that this is a data design problem, so I've got the how to design data recipe here, and I've got the how to design data webpage open in my browser here. We're designing a system to keep track of student grades, and we need to design a data definition to represent the letter grade in a course, which is one of A, B, or C. Now the key thing about the information in this problem is that there's 3 distinct values. In other words, every letter grade is going to be either the distinct value A, or the distinct value B, or the distinct value C. It isn't like something where we might be keeping track of the numerical score in a course, which is a whole bunch of numbers. Here there's really a modest number of distinct values, A, B, or C. And when the problem domain information is like that, when it consists of a fixed number of distinct values, then there's a special kind of data definition to use for that called an enumeration. And the way an enumeration works is that we're going to use one of in the type comment this way. Now this is exactly like the traffic light data definition from earlier this week. So here we go. I'm going to say letter grade is one of, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the data used to represent each of the distinct cases. And I'll use strings in this case. I'll say that these are the 3 distinct data values which are going to represent the 3 distinct information values. And when you do an enumeration, the interpretation tends to be relatively straightforward. In this case, you'll just say the letter grade in a course. But if you think back to that example we saw at the beginning of the week, if, for example, you had decided to use the 3 data values, maybe numbers like 0, 1, and 2, well, then your interpretation would be more substantive. Then your interpretation would have to say something like, 0 means A, 1 means B, 2 means C. So part of why the interpretation is simple in this case is because we're using strings to represent the 3 cases, and the strings so clearly say what the cases are. The other thing that happens in enumerations is that examples are kind of silly. I mean, if we tried to write examples for this, what would we write? We'd write something like define letter grade 1 is A, means A. Define letter grade 2 is B, means B. Define letter grade 3 is C, means C. It's kind of silly, right? It's ridiculous. Because it's an enumeration, there's only 3 values. We know what the examples are before we get to the example stage. So we don't even bother to write them. What we write here is we say examples are redundant for enumerations. And once we get a couple weeks farther in the course, you don't even have to write that. We want you to write it for now, just as a way of remembering that the example step existed. Now we're going to do the template. So define fun for letter grade, LG. There's going to be some body here. Template rules used. And here we go. I'll go back over to the How to Design Data webpage. Here we were. And I'll scroll up to find the link to the data-driven templates recipe. And here we go. So I need to look in this column for the first word after is. Now remember, the first word after is one of. So it's not any of these. There's a special rule for one of. And one ofs are always enumerations, like this case is, or an itemization, which is the example we'll do after this. And now this says that the body is a cond with one clause per subclass of the one of. What does that mean? What's a subclass of the one of? Well, what's going on here in this one of is there's three cases or three subclasses. This says every letter grade in the world is either in this class, or in this class. Every letter grade in the world is either an A, a B, or a C. So here we go. It says that we're going to make a cond with one clause per subclass of the one of. So let me just do that. I'm going to say cond, and there's going to be three of these because there's three there, so there'll be three here. And down here in my template rules, I'm going to put that we use the one of rule and that there are three cases. Now what happens? Well, now I've gotten past the one of, and the next thing I see is an A. The next thing I see, in fact, is the string A. So which template rule is that? Because what this says is that for each question and answer expression, I'm going to form it by following the rule in the question or answer column of this table for the corresponding case. So I'm going to this A, and I need to find its row in this table. And A is an atomic distinct value. Now you understand what the distinct value rule that we were just skipping over before was. There's a single value, the string A. So it's this case. And now you also understand what the cond question column of this table was for. It says that in the question column we're going to put the appropriate predicate, which is a string equal in this case. So we'll go back over here and we'll say string equal question mark letter grade to A. That's the question. And in the cond answer, we're going to put just ... Now you might ask, why aren't we putting ... letter grade? Well, two answers. One answer is the table told us to put just ... It didn't tell us to put ... in the name of the parameter. It told us to just put ... But the question is, why does the table say that? Well, the table says that because in this case we know what LG is. LG is the string A. It'll always be the string A if we get to this cond answer. So we're not putting it there to make that more clear. And so the template rule that we used here was atomic distinct value A. Now we go on to the next row. Well, the next row is the string B. So we could go back to the table. Let's see, the string B is an atomic distinct value. So the cond question will be an appropriate predicate, and the cond answer will be open paren ... close round bracket. So let's see, the cond question is string equal question mark letter grade to B, and the cond answer is ... And this is atomic distinct value B. And at this point you can see how this is working, and you could short circuit the process of doing C a bit if you want. We'll just copy the case for B. We'll get rid of this last question answer pair. We'll make that be C, and we could do that down here in the template rules as well. Now we'll run it. There's no errors, so it's all well formed. We'll comment that out. So this is an enumeration because the domain information here has two or more distinct values, A, B, and C. And an enumeration data definition uses a one of with the data values that are going to be used to represent the information. And now we've seen two new template rules, the one of rule and the distinct value rule. So there we go. That's our data definition for letter grade.